about the water first. I understand there's a nationwide shortage of fluoride that's impacting the U.S. That does impact us here in Shreveport. That means there's currently no fluoride in the water.
Right.
Tell us what that means.
Well, fluoride is a dental care additive, so it doesn't have any taste, it doesn't have any odor, it doesn't affect the safety of the water at all. It's just an additive. Dentists started advocating for fluoride in the early 50s, and so it's had a long history. But we will, when we can get fluoride again, we will continue to add it. The raw material for the fluoride comes out of the Middle East, and so the disruptions disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz and in Israel and all those areas has an impact on it. So we're continuing to look, but we don't believe that we'll have a supply in the short term. So I think the next 30, 60, 90 days we'll be without fluoride, and we'll see what happens after that.
Sure. I think a lot of people were just concerned that the water was not safe to drink. Again, you're telling them that it is, and it does not affect treatment.
It doesn't affect treatment at all,
okay.
And so the water is perfectly safe to drink. Fluoride has no impact on the cleanliness or the safety or the purity of the water.
Yes, well, that is good news. Good to hear that. Speaking of cleanliness, let's talk about sanitation workers. They are getting a much deserved, very needed raise. Talk about where that money came from your administration.
The driver, what we were able to do for the drivers, there are only a total of 40 positions, so it's very important to them, but it's in the scheme of the city budget, it's a small number. If we go up above that, it begins to affect other pay grades in the city. We have 2,500 employees, so it would make a big difference. But we felt like this would be a step we could take to attract more CDL drivers. The problem is a shortage of drivers, and I know that other governmental entities are having the same issues.
Yeah, so if you are seeing some disruption there with trash pickup, this is where that's coming from.
Yeah, and we're looking at some short-term ways to do the bulk pickup because that has suffered. Because when you don't get finished with Monday and Tuesday, which are the two that are our biggest routes, we have to go out on Wednesday, and that's usually our bulk pickup day. So we're looking at some short-term solutions to get the bulk pickup done.
Okay, well, we're hopeful that that raise will certainly attract more drivers and we can get things rolling.
We certainly, and if you got a CDL and a year's experience, we're your place.
And in more local news, Refreshing Point Ministries has relaunched and is hosting a community event this Sunday, August 30th. And KTAL's Fernanda Hernandez got to speak with the organizers to hear more.
Talk about your new leadership and what this new change is bringing for you guys.
Oh, wow, that's so great. What we're doing here is we're literally changing the dynamics of what we're seeing in the city with our local church. We've been doing it for 40 years, and so we want to be impactful for another 40 plus.
Yeah, talk about the need that you guys see with your congregation. What are some of the issues that you're hoping to address?
We're hoping to address, as far as our congregation and in the city, things that have been going on, the poverty, people feeling as though they don't have a need and they're not impactful with the way that God sees them.
That's right. Now, I understand your dad passed the baton to you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So you're following in his footsteps. Talk about some of the things that he implemented that you're hoping to keep alive at Refreshing Point.
Well, my dad, he implemented a lot. One of some of the things that he did was he implemented feeding programs. He implemented Bible colleges. He implemented a whole lot of things that were very impactful to the community.
And so you're hoping to keep that going?
Yeah, we're going to keep that going.
Yes. Talk about some of the things that you are hoping to do, some of the events that people can look forward to if they are looking for a nice, positive thing to do.
Well, the first thing that we're doing this actual week is this Sunday, we're doing the relaunch of the ministry. So if they want to come out and join us, we're going to have food trucks. We're going to make a big impact in the local community.
That's right. So you are seeing the information there. If you want to be part of this exciting new relaunch at Refreshing Point Ministries, you definitely do not want to miss it. But for people watching this morning who may be looking for their church home, what would you say to them? Why should they come to you guys?
Well, they should come to us because we're a place that exists where people can just come and be free. They can find out their identity in Christ, and there's no pressure.
Yeah, that's right. Now, people watching this morning are about to head off to work. Any positive message that you'd like to send them off with?
Just remember who you are. stand firm in who you are, be confident, and just enjoy life. Don't allow the pressures of life to get you down. You can do all things through Christ.
And this Saturday, August 29th, the Cyport Discovery Center is teaming up with other local organizations to clear the shelters at pet adoption centers. And KTAL's Susan Curtin got to speak with them to hear more.
It's our way of giving back to the community. Helping pet adoptions. Last year we had a record number of 39 adoptions. We were so happy.
Yeah.
It was great to see those cats and dogs go home. It really, really was.
I can only imagine. And you know, this morning we had a couple of other animals in that. Will they be there too? Like I saw a lizard. Do people bring those
that
to
was
get
our
adopted?
bearded dragon. No, we pretty much limit it to cats and dogs.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, listen, Diane, it's a wonderful organization. Now, who do you partner with?
We have 8 different vendors coming in, and I think the special thing about that is that I know I've gone to some of the animal shelters, and I don't want to go hopping shelter to shelter to find the perfect pet.
Right.
And now they're all in one place. And I want all of them.
Yes.
I want
Oh,
to take
gosh.
home every cat, every dog.
That's our problem. We all want to take them home too.
I know. They're so wonderful. Well, it's wonderful for all of you to get together in one place. It's going to be from 9 to 1 p.m. And what other kinds of things can they see while they're there?
Well, obviously we have the whole center, but we're pulling out superpower dogs. We're showing that in the Goodman IMAX. You know, we have the only IMAX dome in Louisiana, and that in itself is an experience. And so the movie traces the path of service dogs.
Yes.
And so it's a lot of fun to come out then and see the dogs that are out in the center.
That is one of those favorites that just keeps coming back, and people absolutely love to see it.
Never
So it's very
grows
fun.
old.
Never gets old.
No.
Well, we sure enjoyed having you at the Fit for Life Expo this last weekend.
great.
This is just one of the ways you reach out to the community, get out and engage with people. But you're also such an important place to educate. This is a perfect example to bring your kids in. They can spend all day in the center having a great time. They can see the IMAX movie.
Get out of the heat.
Get out of the heat, but then they can also understand what it is to be a good community steward.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So how many people do you usually get through the
Oh
center?
my goodness, you know, we could have 300 people come through in
wow.
a day, and you know, we have families that will spend the whole time right there. We have a cafe so that you can eat lunch there and you can get to know that animal
Absolutely.
pretty well. You can decide if you're taking that animal home.
And you can, yeah, I would come with a leash to make sure because you just never know. So, you know, after you've adopted the pets, I know all of the shelters too are very, very good about teaching you what to do, telling you how to take care of your pets, what they're going to need, and what you should maybe prepare for. And maybe if you are planning to come adopt a pet, I would encourage you to kind of look online at what kind of pet might be good for your family.
That's
you
right.
know?
Make sure you have the time
Yeah.
for that pet. That's what's the most important. You know, if I could, I'd take every one of them home, but I can't. I don't have the time.
Exactly, exactly. And look up what kind of dog is best for you based on your activity level, how many kids you have, the kind of space you have. All that's important, but the main thing is to get out there and adopt.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And don't forget that this Saturday is the Clear the Shelters event, and you can actually adopt one of the pets from Caddo Parish Animal Services, who is this week's Pet of the Week.
Who do we have here?
Her name is Lil Twin.
Lil Twin. She is a cute little kitten. I understand she had some siblings that she arrived with.
Yes.
Tell us about her story.
Yes, so she came in with her 2 brothers, Big Buddy and Big Twin.
Buddy.
And they were an unexpected litter in their household, so they were surrendered to the shelter. And she's the only one left that's still available.
Oh, she's so sweet.
Yeah.
So we are hoping to find her forever home this morning. If you have been thinking about adopting an animal, now might be the perfect time. And the process to do it is super simple. Kim, tell us how it all works.
Yeah, you can just come to the shelter and meet all of our animals, and then if you find the one that you want to adopt, you would fill out the adoption contract and then pay the $75 adoption fee, which does include the spay or neuter, microchip vaccinations. And then if they're already fixed, they can go home. Like she's already fixed, so she's ready.
She's ready to go, and she is playful, Kim.
She is.
I know that whenever you guys get young animals, they adapt a lot easier because they don't really know much outside of the shelter life. But we certainly want them to get a forever home as soon as they can.
Yes.
So what would you tell people watching this morning on why they should adopt from the shelter?
Yeah, we have so many great animals to choose from at the shelter. Lots of dogs, lots of cats. So there's somebody for everyone.
Yeah.
And with a low adoption fee, only $75, it's a great deal, and you get a lifetime companion.
That's right. I think that's very affordable for a lifetime of memories with your pet. So you guys have a cool event coming up this weekend. Tell us about it.
Yes, we'll be at Cyport this Saturday, August 29th. And it's going to be for Clear the Shelter. So adoption fees at Cyport only, not the shelter, but at Cyport will be waived that day.
Okay, so head on over to Cyport if you are thinking of adopting. They're going to be there from 9 to 1. Thank you so much, Kim, for being with us this morning. We also want to send people to your website. There's a way to browse all of the pets that are available for adoption.
Yes, if you go to KTAL.gov, click on Animal Services, it'll pull up all the dogs available, all the cats available, and then all the ones listed under Lost and Found Animals are the ones, if people are missing their pet, check that out.
And in some entertainment news, the Vicki Robertson Theater is hosting casting calls for its stage plays that are upcoming, and KTAL's Susan Curtin got to speak with them to hear more.
Tell us about some of the titles and what they're about.
Okay, this is one, the Pimpin' in the Pulpit.
Pimpin' in the Pulpit, okay.
And at one time I kind of had to change the name a little bit and put no in front of no pimping in the pulpit so that people would know that we're not condoning that behavior, but we're just shedding a little light on it. And we've done that play a few times. It's been some time ago, but we always get standing ovations, and we have the whole church houses coming out for that one.
I love it. And then we have Check Your Man.
Okay. Check Your Man.
What's the synopsis there?
Well, it's exactly like the title, Check Your Man. Okay.
I love it. Okay, so we're going to explain when you get there, okay?
When you get there.
Will you write all of these plays? And when do you have time to do this, and in addition to all the other things you do for the theater?
Susan, you just have to make the time to do the things that you love.
That is true.
Really, I really don't have a lot of free time. This is my free time. These are my hobbies, but this is what I love to do.
Right, well, this is where your heart is. And so you're asking for actors, you want them to come up, and we want you to do this Sunday, August 30th at the theater, correct?
Right. Sunday, August the 30th at 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. is the casting call time this Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m.
What do people need to be prepared for? What do they need to be doing when they get, what do they need to bring anything with them?
They don't need to bring anything. You need to just come.
Just show up.
Just show up, and then we're going to give you a script. We're going to prep you up first in the green room and give you a script, and you're going to have to do a monologue. You can do a monologue of your choice of something that you've seen on TV before, or anything that you would like to show us your talent. And if you know how to sing, it might cause for singing, but not all roles calls for you to sing. But we do need actors, male and females, girls and boys.
I love that. So, if you want, you can go online, you can actually Google monologues for people. If you don't know any off the top of your head, you can Google it and you can get all kinds of choices. So bring one with you, but you're also going to have things to read as well?
Yes.
Okay.
If they don't have one from the top of the head, we will have some different scenarios for them to do, but we also have the script. We have the actual audition scripts for each play that they can try out for.
And are these plays going to happen all throughout the year?
They're going to happen all throughout the year. We're going to be starting on like maybe 3 at a time, rehearsals for at least 3 of them.
Right.
Yes.
Well, what do you enjoy about the process, Sharonica?
I love watching it from the beginning to the end because it's like a Tyler Perry theme type thing, and you be like, oh my God, oh no, stop,
you get involved.
It is a beautiful ending in all the plays.
Oh, that's wonderful. So a good message to wrap it all up.
A good message in all the stories. Now let me clarify this. All of my plays are original. They are original. But some people, they just say, I am the Tyler Perry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay. I am the
Usually
female
The
version.
female version,
Okay.
right.
Tyler Perry might be the king, but Vicki Robinson is the
It's the
queen.
I think
queen.
we need
Yes.
more female versions of that.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
I'm the
All right.
female version.
So don't forget, it's going to be August 30th at the Vicki Robertson Theater. It's 3 to 6 p.m. You're looking for all ages?
All ages.
Okay. People of all ages, if you want your 15 minutes of fame, this just might be it.
And let's take a look at the full weather forecast for the rest of today and heading into the weekend.
Hey, I'm meteorologist Josh Marces, and this is your Thursday midday weather update. Finally, a more decent summer day for us here. We've lost the heat advisories, and we're hoping, fingers crossed, those will stay away through the weekend here. I know everybody's wondering if we're turning the corner completely to fall here anytime soon. It looks like it is going to stay pretty warm for the next 2 weeks, but I think we'll all be happy. The morning temperatures will be cooler going forward here, and your daytime highs a little closer to average, not only today, but likely through the weekend as well. So I would say more tolerable summer weather pattern for us in the upcoming days. So you probably heard some thunderstorms last night if you live in Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas, as we did have those storms move through. Areas in and around Shreveport and Texarkana picked up a quick inch or two of rain, so some beneficial rain for us in this front. It's a weak front, but it will wipe out the 100-degree heat for at least the next week or so. So I'm optimistic these heat advisories will stay away, maybe through the upcoming weekend and maybe next Monday as well. I don't think we're completely done with them just yet. I think we'll have a couple of real hot days next week as well, so we'll all enjoy these temperatures running a little closer to average in the mid-90s today. Texarkana up to 96. Natchitoches, few clouds lingering through the morning here, holding us in the low 90s this afternoon, but we'll have a little bit of sun that comes back through the day today. So eventually our heat index will wind up above 100 degrees. It's close enough, you could argue we could have a heat advisory today, so if you're working outside this afternoon, continue to stay hydrated here, but we like to keep the heat index below 105. That keeps the heat advisories away, and I think we'll be living without those through at least Sunday or Monday. But you can see next week the heat back with us, as we'll see the heat index above 105 each afternoon. Don't think we'll hit 100 next week, but we could get close to that. Maybe not next Wednesday and Thursday here, but one of the nicer things going forward, we know these morning temperatures will stay very nice for the next week or so. So if you're out there this morning, it's kind of refreshing to feel the air in the 60s and low 70s, and we'll get to feel that again tonight and tomorrow morning. And given a little water in the ground here and skies clearing out tonight, it's very possible we could see some fog. So if you are traveling early Friday morning here, just be on the lookout for some fog, especially on some of our major roadways there. Here's a look at Robin's Toyota Futurecast. It's going to show you a few spotty showers out there this afternoon, but a little more than a 20% chance of rain, and today's rain chance will be a little bit higher in areas like Arkansas and Louisiana. Expect Texas and Oklahoma really staying dry for the next week or so. For Friday, 10% chance of rain. We could see just a rogue pop-up shower in the afternoon, but things trending in a much drier direction for us, not only Friday, but over the weekend as well. And there's a look at the weekend temperatures. Not many changes between whether it's 95 today and 97 on Saturday and Sunday. The humidity will stay at pretty acceptable levels for us, so that's why we don't expect the heat advisory over the weekend. And if you're looking to do some things outside, I mentioned those morning temperatures will be more comfortable, so early in the day, best for those outdoor plans this weekend. And we have added a few more counties in Texas, Franklin and Red River County, to the burn restriction list here. So at this point, we can count them there. I think there's only 5 counties and parishes not currently under a burn ban here. And given we did see some decent rain last night, I'll keep you updated if anybody rescinds these burn bans. Problem is, we're just not expecting much rain over the next 7 days. So I think a lot of these areas are going to choose to let those burn bans go, as we'll continue to dry out this weekend and next week as well. We'll feel a little more heat next week, still in the 90s, but I think those heat advisories could be back by the middle of next week.
And in some national news, Meta has agreed to pay $18 billion in a settlement from a lawsuit that claimed its platforms, including Facebook and Instagram, harmed children. And to learn more about this social media litigation, I got to speak with attorney Matt Dolman. You're a founding partner of Dolman Law Group. What do you do exactly with your firm?
I practice mostly in the area of civil litigation, and that really encompasses sexual abuse lawsuits and lawsuits against tech companies. We focus on claims against Roblox, Discord. These are both internet platforms. They're one is a gaming platform. The other one is almost like a video game for children, which is Roblox, and also social media lawsuits.
And why do you think social media addiction lawsuits are gaining so much momentum recently?
I think the first jury trial in Los Angeles with a lawyer named Mark Lanier that took place in April, that was like an $8 million verdict. And there was also a lawsuit. I shouldn't say lawsuit. There was a trial by the. It was a case brought by the New Mexico Attorney General that resulted in a $350 million verdict. It's starting to show that juries are holding tech companies accountable for defective design of their product. You put a product out into the market and you market it towards children, you have a duty, an inherent duty to keep that platform safe.
And when it comes to these settlements from the lawsuits, what is that exactly signaling from these companies?
I believe that it's what they're worried about. In this particular case, you're looking at a Florida teen the case was settled on behalf of in a case that was pending in Los Angeles County. And what that tells us is that they had very sensitive documents and sensitive testimony that they never wanted to see the light of a courtroom. It's hard to prognosticate without actually being involved in that specific case. I'm involved in a number of social media cases, not that one individual lawsuit, but reading the tea leaves, it tells me that the amount of screen exposure for those particular defendants was extreme as compared and disproportionate as compared to the other defendants who are still left in the case, and that trial is still ready to go in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Meta and Snapchat have pending trials as well. Why could these have kind of like a lasting impact on the industry moving forward?
So this is a very fluid situation, and to educate your viewers, the defense for years has always been Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act. What 230 really stands for is the following proposition. An internet platform is not responsible for content posted by a third party. So if I go on Twitter today and I say Anthony's a jerk, Twitter's not responsible. They're a conduit. They're like nothing more than a message board. But when the platform itself is defectively designed and meant to addict children with like infinite scrolling and other algorithmic features meant to just addict and increase user engagement among children, now that makes them responsible. They have a duty to protect children.
And when it comes to the platform design, a lot of lawsuits are focusing on this instead of the user content, like you mentioned. Could you dive in a little bit more into that?
Great question. So 230 speaks to content moderation. Again, the defendant, the internet platform, whatever have you, they're not responsible for content posted by a third party. So they don't have a duty to moderate that content. They're simply a message board. I guess that's the best analogy to give. But when you get into defective design, we're looking at a theory basically that they had a duty to design this product to be safe. And these are obvious and foreseeable dangers. And they should have put a product on the market that was safe for children. They did not do that. What they did is they designed a product meant to addict children. And that's been shown through whistleblowers and testimony that was given both in the New Mexico and the Los Angeles trial. And future trials and future litigation will be replete with discovery that is already available to plaintiff lawyers, showing that these features were well thought out and were designed to increase user engagement and keep the children on the platform for as long as possible. So that whole point is to keep the case away from Section 230. So courts have not said that 230 is inapplicable, but courts have said that 230 is not a shield to a defective design defect theory.
And do social media companies have a legal responsibility to protect children from harm?
So it's a tough question. That's a question that's being ferreted out by the courts now. It appears to be so, yes. And I think that two juries have already spoken, and I think what that tells us is that this information, the discovery that's been available to plaintiff lawyers, this is resonating with juries. So is it an actual defined duty in the statutes and legislation? No, but is it a duty defined by case law that you design a platform? Anytime you design a product, so there's tons of case law on product defect and product defect theory. We're just now applying product defect theory for the first time to social media and the first time to a non-tangible object. And so far, it's succeeded.
And for parents, what are some warning signs that a child may be struggling with an unhealthy social media use?
So I wouldn't say it's any one particular fact or criteria. It's more of like a totality of the circumstances. And what you want to look out for is these are, I guess, the red flags: failing grades or grades that have greatly diminished in quality of life. You see a child that's now struggling with mental health issues that did not have that before. or there's an exacerbation and aggravation of prior mental health issues, including, but not limited to, all the issues you mentioned earlier, like suicidal ideation, body dysmorphia. Maybe some of those issues may have been there on the surface, but now they're much greater. But more often than not, you're seeing like a wholesale difference in a child who was previously sleeping normally, who now has interrupted sleep patterns, that can't put down the device, that their grades are suffering, their ability to speak to peers and communicate with other children their own age or other adolescents their own age has been greatly hampered by this. They're no longer have any friends. It's a number of factors, but you take them all together, you have a child that's completely different than what they were before all this screen time and before this addiction.
And what steps can they take to establish healthier online habits and recognize when professional help might be needed?
So the first step is don't call a lawyer. Lawyer should be like the last thing you consider. The first thing you should do is see a mental health specialist. And I would get in with a therapist or psychiatrist and psychologist as quickly as possible and have a team approach. So I'm not a huge advocate of just medication. It's more of the therapy itself, the psychologist versus psychiatrist angle, but get the child in to speak with someone and to start to, dig into what the actual underlying issues are.
And with these lawsuits in the future, how can they affect other things on the platform like parental controls, age verification, and other safeguards to protect kids?
So it's early, and this is a very fluid situation. A great question. I think that we're going to see wholesale changes over the next 2 to 3 years. Much of that is going to be, effectuated by legislation, and I think there'll be legislation targeting these social media companies. But these social media companies are very powerful. Many of whom are Fortune 100 companies, who have a war chest and are fighting this very tooth and nail, and in fact have lobbyists in Washington right now to try to prevent legislation or to make legislation that seems like it's great for children, but really is just a wolf with sheep's clothing. So we shall see. But I do think that you're going to see many of these companies effectuate their own internal changes. When litigation becomes so expensive that it becomes cost prohibitive to continue the status quo, to continue conduct as normal, you have to change. So, do these companies necessarily care about children? I don't think they do. I think it's been shown by their actions over the years. What these companies do care about, though, is the bottom line, their profits. And when they're not returning the same profits to their shareholders because of the exposure to litigation, they're forced to make changes internally.
And I know you said that contacting a lawyer is like the last resort usually for parents, but I guess what legal avenues do they have if it gets to that point?
And let me clarify what I said earlier. Not that you shouldn't call a lawyer. No one likes lawyers. You'll hear people complain about lawyers. There's too many of them, just like they'll complain about police officers until you need one. What I would say is that the first issue is not to reach out to a lawyer and file a lawsuit, is to get your child help. And then, the second step is to preserve all of the evidence, take screenshots of what is going on in terms of what they're seeing online, and do not make any changes to the settings. And if there is incidents regarding, for instance, child sexual predation, like in a Roblox lawsuit, we have a systemic pedophilia on the Roblox platform, where we tell children is turn that, or tell parents rather, is to turn the device over to law enforcement. In the case of social media harm, what I ask the parents to do is not make any changes to the settings, so we can preserve evidence in case of a lawsuit. But the first step is obviously to reach out to a mental health professional. And then if there's criminal activity, to reach out to law enforcement. And last is to reach out to an attorney. But the attorney is dead last in that. Obviously, get your child help.
And what resources are available for people who want to learn more?
Feel free to, there's a ton of resources out there. So if you just research social media harm lawsuits, there's an infinite number of law firms that have educational material out there. In my law firm, Dolman Law, DOLMANLAW.com, we have a lot of content on social media harm and explaining why these features are addictive in nature and what the whistleblowers have told us. But what I really would educate parents out there is to get the whole picture. Don't just take it from a lawyer myself. I have a very slanted view. Now, do I think I'm being objective? I do. And I've been involved in this case for a long time. But don't just take my word for it. go to Google News and look at the many of the news articles that have come out over the last 2 years just covering this lawsuit from many different angles, and educate yourself that these platforms they're not safe. Whether we're talking about Twitter or we're talking about Roblox and Discord, and depends on the type of case, you can't just allow your children to willy-nilly scroll the internet and to scroll these platforms. They're inherently dangerous. They're meant to addict, and they're not meant for children.
And that is all I have for today's edition of KTAL News Now. Be sure to tune in each and every day, Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. on KTALnews.com. But for now, I'm Anthony Mocklin. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you for joining us.